Hello, my friends, and welcome back to StarCraft 2. I hinted that I might do this at the conclusion of my playthrough of the Legacy of the Void campaign, and after playing it for quite some time, I definitely wanted to do a few videos on this, kind of maybe similar to the video series that I've done with Heroes of the Storm. And that is the co-op commander mode that they added to StarCraft 2 as part of Legacy of the Void, where you get to command or take control of a commander and get to use them in their particular uniqueness in a mode where you and another human player, whether it's a friend you can have on Battle.net or just some other random person, and you each get to control a faction, and you get to team up together to try and complete a mission together. So the way this mode works is that when it comes to missions, some of the missions are like similar to missions from the campaigns, each of the 3 different campaigns. You can choose a random mission which can give you 25% extra bonus because you can actually level these guys up, and I'll explain that in a moment. But there are missions such as like Rifts to Core Hall, void rifts that have opened across the Imperial sector of Augustgrad. Together you can destroy the rifts before the hybrid overwhelm your forces. Void Thrashing. On Char, you need to work together to take down the Void Thrashers before Sergeant Hammer's fortress falls. Void Launch, it's pretty much the shuttles mission from the Heart of the Swarm campaign. The Zelnaga Temple mission on Shakuras from Legacy of the Void campaign. And Oblivion Express, it's basically the Stop the Train mission that was on Tarsonis in the Wings of Liberty campaign. So you've got all those different kinds of missions that you can play. You can play this on either casual, normal, hard, or brutal, and how hard you play them, you get more experience for it. Although they do say, do not play this on brutal unless you're at level 15, because you will not survive, it even says there. So, how does this mode work? Well, there are 6 commanders for you to choose from. There's our good old space cowboy Jim Raynor. There's the Queen of Blades, Sarah Kerrigan. The Protoss Hierarch Tannis. Our good old techie from Wings of Liberty, Swan. The Brood Mother Segarra. And the Matriarch of the Dark Templar, Vora. So how do they each work? Well, each commander has a certain unique set of abilities that they alone have, and they have what you would expect from their factions, but some of them don't have everything. For example, Raynor, he has certain units. On the Terran faction, he's got mainly infantry units like Marines, Firebats, Medics, Marauders, and some others such as the Viking, the Banshee, and the Battlecruiser, and he can have the Orbital Command Center. But Swan, on the other hand, he mainly has vehicles and ships such as Goliaths. They both have siege tanks, but he's got Cyclones, Wraiths, the Science Vessel. He can make Thors, and also 3 different kinds of turrets. So, and you can even they'll even show here. When you look at a commander, it'll say, like for example, Raynor says, recommended for players of all skill levels, call down and control an elite battlecruiser, command an infantry army with strategic support units. So, even shows here, his abilities is he can call down the Hyperion, which can fight for a limited amount of time, and he's also got some other abilities such as being able to call down a Banshee airstrike with Dusk Wings with timed life. But Swan's ability is not the Hyperion. In fact, his is using a laser drill, the same laser drill from that mission in Wings of Liberty. So he'll have that near his base, and that will be able to be used to attack almost anything on the entire battlefield. And his is a little different. It says, recommended for experienced players, controls a giant laser drill with destructive energy abilities to build an army of vehicles, spaceships, and turrets. So, different kinds of abilities you can get, such as, like, the reason why it shows he's got infantry units is because one of his starting abilities is Raynor trains infantry units 20% faster than other commanders, and he can build barracks 50% faster. So you can build like several barracks like really fast, and then train Marines, Medics, Firebats, Marauders really fast, faster than other commanders could. build their kind of infantry units. So he's got other sorts of abilities such as increasing the range of fire bats and medics, and this is it's a level system. So as you level them up, you get more experience, you can get access to other kinds of abilities, such as infantry upgrade cache. Different upgrades you can get at the different attachments to places, like at the tech labs, such as having the medics heal faster. You can have the Hyperion drop a defense drone. You can now, once you reach level 6, you can build battle cruisers at your starport, engineering bays, upgrade cache. You can make the bunkers better with automated turrets. Get the orbital drop pods upgrades. You'll recognize some of these upgrades from the campaign. So if you play all 3 campaigns, Wings of Liberty, Heart of the Swarm, Legacy of the Void, you'll recognize some of these various different upgrades that you could have gotten in those campaigns, although some you could have chosen to go with a different one, such as things right here for the siege tanks, make them better, improved mule cooldown, armory upgrade, which increases the attack range of vehicles and ships, orbital supply depots dropping from orbit, increases the Vikings' air attack range, targeting systems, and then when you get to level 15, you get this amazing ability for each commander, such as for Raynor, it increases the attack speed of his infantry units by 15%. I mean, that is insanely good, and it's usually always different with a different commander. So that's for Raynor. Kerrigan, she specializes where she basically can be how she is both in the Heart of the Swarm campaign as well as how she is in Heroes of the Storm. She actually can be on the field with you as a hero unit. And this is only possible for Kerrigan and Segarra. So you can control Kerrigan on the mission with aggressive abilities. She's a powerful army of the toughest Zerg units. So she can make what you would expect: Zerglings, Swarm Queens, Hydralisks, Mutalisks, Broodlords, Ultralisks, even Overseers. And also Lurkers, if you want to go with that. And she can also use the Omega Network, which is something Omega Worms or Nidus Worms. So I mean, that's an upgrade to the Omega Network instead of the Nidus Network, because I got to that level. So, whereas she can use some of those units, but Segarra doesn't have access to some of those units. She doesn't have access to the Hydralisk and Mutalisk. Instead, what Segarra has is Banelings, Aberrations, Scourges, and Corruptors. So, and she's also got Bile Launchers. So, it's different strategies with different commanders, whereas Kerrigan, you can make units like the Hydralisks and the Mutalisks that can attack both ground and air. Segarra makes it where you have to select units that can only attack either ground or attack air. So then it kind of plays into how you're going to play for that mission on that map to complement maybe your partner. So if your partner is going with a certain set of units, you can then complement with other different units where I'll provide ground support or I'll provide air support. So some of Kerrigan's upgrades, and I really like playing as Kerrigan, is she'll gain temporary life as she deals damage, and she revives right away if she's killed. She's got a big stun attack. She's got Ravage. She's got spawning pool upgrades for Zerglings. You can make Lurkers. You can upgrade the Hydralisk life, give them Frenzy and their attack range. She gets the Malignant Creep upgrade from the passive upgrade from Heart of the Swarm, which I really liked to make your creep better. It upgrades the Nidus Worm to the Omega Worm, which is supposed to be able to be able to help instantly travel to another area of the map. So if you need to get from one area of the map to another, you can set up Omega Worms, and both you and your partner could even use them. You can get some other Kerrigan specific upgrades, such as her attacks deal normal damage to her target and then jumps to additional targets nearby. She got this passive Fury where her attack speed stacks up. And you can keep giving it where you can get the Raptor strain of the Zerglings from the campaign. You can buff up the Ultralisk. You can get the Torask evolution strain to the Ultralisk at 14, and then you can get her energy regeneration goes up by 50% at level 50, which makes her being able to use her ability just so good. So I really enjoy playing as Kerrigan and Raynor. And there's also our Tannis, our hero from Legacy of the Void. He basically is what you would expect from the Legacy of the Void campaign, where he can use the Spear of Adun, being able to use abilities such as Orbital Strike and Shield Overcharge. and being able to warp, and he can also be able to warp in units instantly. So like he basically has the warp gates, and they like immediately warp in, as opposed to having to wait for them to warp in. So like that's even his first upgrade, is that they warp in units in about almost instantly. He's got the basic kind of units you would expect, Zealots, basically Ire units, so no Dark Templar units really. He's got Zealots, he's got Dragoons, the High Templars, which can be Archons, Immortals. He has Reavers instead of Carriers, and he also, once you get to level 11, which is what I got, then you can unlock the Tempests, so you have those instead of the Carriers. So, and you can't have... you also get Phoenix, but you don't have the Colossus. Instead, you get the Reavers, which are the classic units from the first game. So, some of his other upgrades you can get, such as Guardian Shell. When they take fatal damage, they become invulnerable for a short time, preventing death. You can have the number of units you can warp in at warp gates from 1 to 3. So, per warp gate, you get 3 units per warp gate. Which, if you have a bunch of warp gates, that means you can warp in a ton of units real fast. So, he can basically warp in a huge army real fast, so he's good for that. You get the Reaver at level 5. You can make it where the Archons can be able to use the feedback and Psionic Storm abilities. Passive abilities such as Warp Harmonization. You can be able to warp in units from both robotics facilities and Stargates as well, just like with regular infantry units, which is really, really good. Reaver upgrades. Spear of Adun Solar Bombardment, which is insane ability. And Tempest. Fleet upgrades. You can get Shield Overcharge, Solar Onslaught, and then 15. Your increasing starting supply starts at 200. So that way you don't have to make extra pylons, which is like insanely good. That you don't have to worry about that. You can just start 200 supply, and all you have to worry about with pylons is just places to set places up, instead of having to constantly do that, so you can get to the maximum supply. Swan, as I mentioned with the units, his upgrades, he can build vehicles and ships faster. So whereas Raynor could build infantry units faster, he can build ships and vehicles faster. And the building at the factories does not cost Vespene gas. He can command drop in warbots to be able to help out. He can be able to increase the attack range of some of these different turrets that he can use. So he's really good for like defensive missions. He can upgrade the pulse or the laser drill to have a pulse cannon, which can be really good. He has this really cool ability where he can call down an automated harvester to get extra Vespene for both yourself and your ally. He can of course make Thors. He can be able to have give upgrades to Goliaths, have them attack simultaneously. SVVs can build a structure together, so that way it can be built faster. Some other upgrades, such as be able to combine the tech lab and reactors to tech reactors. He can be able to buff up the attack speed of turrets. I mean, some of these upgrades are just like so good that you just cannot wait to get to that level so you can get those upgrades. The ability for the Immortality Protocol for both Thors and Siege tanks to rebuild themselves, which is awesome. Science vessels. 6 warbots, and then 20 increase the life of Swan's vehicles and starships by 20%, which makes them so good. Segarra, she's got some interesting ones. Her maximum supply is only 100, so she can only have a limited supply. It's cut in half from like Kerrigan, but her combat units cost less resources and they morph faster, and the drones morph in pairs. So she can only have a limited number of units, but she is really good at being able to build them fast as well as buff them, because she's also got certain abilities, such as she has some abilities. She's basically a lot like how she is in Heroes of the Storm. She can use barrage enemies with banelings, she can summon hunter killers, and she can use mass frenzy. So let's say you're playing alongside a Raynor or an Tannis, and they have a bunch of infantry units. Use mass frenzy, and it's gonna make them just so good with their attack speed and attack strength. It's just awesome. So she's a really good complement to some of those different kinds of commanders. So she's got some other cool upgrades, such as being able to, the Inject Larva ability. She's got Infested Drop, which is also from Heroes of the Storm, where she drops roaches from the sky. She can make Scourges, for very little. it can reduce the amount of Vespene gas required to morph Scourge by 50. So that way, if you're playing the shuttle mission and you need anti-air support, you can just create a lot of Scourges for a very little amount of gas and take care of the shuttles that way. So that way your ally doesn't have to worry about it, because you can just say, I'll take care of the air, you just focus on the other stuff. Bio launchers, good defense. Be able to upgrade Zerglings. And of course, Banelings. You can have the Baneling nest periodically spawn free Banelings. So you get free Banelings, on a timed basis or regular basis, just like every 30 seconds or so. It'll give you free Banelings, which is great. Aberrations, when they die, 2 Banelings will spawn from their corpse, which sounds really awesome. And you can get some other really cool ones, such as being able to increase the amount of roaches from 10 to 20, which is awesome. You can get the Swarmling Zergling Evolution Strain. You can get the Splitter Baneling Evolution Strain. And then 20 is Broodmother. Reduces the energy cost of Segarra's Baneling Barrage and spawn Hunter Killer's abilities by 50%, which can be pretty cool. And last but not least is Vora, the Matriarch of the Dark Templar. What is she like? Well, she can manipulate the battlefield from high orbit with stealthy abilities, commands an army of cloaked and high damage units, so she can deploy Dark Pylons, use a Black Hole to stun enemy units, and deploy a Shadow Guard, which is warps in a squad of elite Dark Templar with timed life at the location. So whereas our Tannis had Ire units, she's got Dark Templar units such as Centurions, Stalkers, regular Dark Templars, Corsairs, Void Rays, Oracles, and Dark Archons. And her upgrades, she's got, and here's the interesting thing about her. She is the only commander that has this ability right here, the Orbital Assimilator. So she is the only one that can have the ability to harvest Vespene gas without the use for probes. You cannot get this upgrade with any of the other commanders, where you can get gas without using your drones, probes, or SCVs. She is the only one that has this ability. Her Dark Templar have improved shields, costs less Vespene gas than normal, increases the number of Shadow Guard, some other buffs such as allow Centurions to stun enemies, you can summon Dark Archons, grants Dark Templars the ability to disable units, increase the shield regeneration of friendly cloaked units. You can have Spear of Adun abilities as well, like Event Horizon, which really beefs up the Black Hole ability. You could upgrade the Dark Archons abilities. You can get the Time Stop Spear of Adun ability. You can get the Recall ability for Dark Pylons. You can permanently cloak Corsairs, increase the range of Void Rays. You can get the passive ability, Emergency Recall, which upon taking fatal damage, friendly cloaked or burrowed units are recalled to their own primary structure. Chronomancy, which reduces the cooldown time stop from 5 minutes to 4 minutes. And then 15, Strike from the Shadows. Increase the damage dealt by friendly cloaked or burrowed units by 25%. So you can see, the more you play these guys, the more you'll get access to much better units and much better abilities. You have to get to Artanis to level 11 before you can get the Tempest. Otherwise, all you can call from the starport is Phoenixes, which is fine, but the Tempest can attack both ground and air units. So now, when you get to the level, then you can actually have access to his full army here. But some of these upgrades just makes it just so good. And when you're playing on casual, you can just, have fun, take your time, and your partner can as well. Sometimes you can just, work on upgrades, and your partner will be doing their own strategy, set up only defensive units and such, depending on what the mission is. Whether it's assault, go after the objective, or whether it's set up defenses and defend for a period of time. So it partly all depends, what strategy you go with per map and per commander, because each commander is going to have different strategies for each different map. If you want an ideal defensive, you could always go for Swan with his laser and being able to set up just a ton of turrets around the place along with siege tanks. So he's probably one of the ideal defensive guys, whereas assault-wise, you could probably go maybe with Kerrigan, Artanis, and Raynor. Whereas some of these guys, or even Vora is probably more so just summoning cloaked units quickly and help quickly attack certain places. So it can all depend. And of course, it really also depends on what difficulty you're playing on. I cannot imagine myself playing on these because they're just probably so hard. And it's fine because they actually still reward you if you just decide to only play on casual. I think there's an achievement like you play a certain number of missions in co-op on a difficulty, you still get that. Yeah, so you still get that. So like here on casual, you'll still get an achievement if you play even like up to 150 missions on casual. You'll still get rewarded for it with an achievement. So if you're thinking that you only get awarded for playing on the higher difficulties, you're wrong. You can still play casual the whole time and still play it with the different commanders and give you different achievements for each commander, such as Raynor, kill 25 units with a single airstrike on hard difficulty, kill 500 units with Raynor's Hyperion in co-op missions. So different achievements there, so that way you want to try different things out with different commanders. So that is my little introduction for the co-op commander mode. As you can see by the levels, I have really enjoyed playing this mode. It's a lot of fun being able to play the different commanders. Sometimes getting to play with some fun players who also love to play it as well, especially in casual when you can just relax and just have fun and enjoy. Whereas on higher, you may come across people who are like, what are you doing? Why are you not playing like this? Or why are you not doing like this? You know, those multiplayer focused guys who are like thinking they're playing esports or whatever. So that is my introduction to this, and when we come back, we will be taking a look at each different commander. I'll be doing a video on each one, so you can see how they are at this point with the levels I've gotten them to. As I continue to make my way to level 15 with each one, and show why I like playing with each one, and what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, and how much more fun they can be when you get access to other upgrades as well. So, stay tuned.